Our CEO, when we first started this, he asked for 3 sales for $300,000 in the first year. We ended up doing 32 sales for $4 million.
What does leadership actually look like when you're going from $300,000 to $4 million? In this episode, we break down 5 lessons that reshaped how we hire, coach, and drive revenue inside a real team. This is Under Oath. Revenue takes the stand. Powered by Rankings.io, the elite legal marketing agency for personal injury firms on the rise to the top. Up first, let experts be experts.
Go get experts, let them be experts. If I can get 1 to 2 people that perform like 5 or 6, I will pay accordingly to have that, because I would rather manage 1 or 2 people who are super high performers that have an obsession with the job. As other companies I've seen them hire 5, 6 people to do certain role in departments. And I'm just like, if you would have combined those 5, 6 salaries, you could honestly shave some off, go pay 2 people accordingly, and they would outperform those 6.
You're absolutely right in saying it's fine balance. It is, you have to have the mix of both, right? You have to have the structure and understanding is this is what I have to do. This is my goal, what I'm looking to achieve. And in our case is we have a set of BDRs. They have a book of business. They know that this is the lead pool that they're sourcing from. Their goal is to bring value to that client, to have a conversation with our team, simply put, right? Now, how do you communicate that value? How do you approach that? We have a team of 10 to 12 BDRs running, and I'd say each one of them follow a framework, but all sound individual. They all sound like themselves. And I think that's truly is a winning recipe.
So if I'm hearing you right, Cole, it sounds like as long as, like, you can't just say like, hey, get a set, however you can get a set, right? Like, just get them on the calendar. That's all we care, right?
Let's dive into that for a second, right? I'll give some historical background to what that looks like. When I first came to this business, I was tasked with training an outside team. And the outside team's job was to get a set to the business. As I broke down calls, the way they framed sets was pretending to be an agency that they were not. That resulted in calendar appointments, but it was a very big bait and switch conversation, right? Yes, you got a set in whatever way mattered, but did you get the right set? Did the right value come up? And is that conversation really going to convert? No. So the answer isn't you can just go get a set however you can get a set, because there's a lot of fraudulent ways to bring about that conversation. So there has to be parameters. There has to be a framework. There has to be a guide. But it can't be on the other side of the pendulum, which is, hey, Zach, you're going to come in, you're going to say, hi, Mr. Customer, you're going to say this exact line, and this is going to get you sets 100% of the time, because that's not real. It's not human. We're not robots. AI can do that, right? If I just want a script, I'll go employ AI to go call somebody on that.
At number 4, one band, one sound. When marketing, sales, and support move in sync, the revenue engine hums. And when they don't, even the best reps stall out. Here's what it really looks like when your entire GTM team wins together.
We did $2 million last month, right? And your Quillers helped us get there. Right. Like, I think people hearing that you're not just a number from a fact of what you produced, you contributed to the team number. Because one of my favorite sayings is one band, one sound. Yes, drumline reference, but I truly mean that is we all win together, right? We all lose together. And I think that whenever you separate those things, salespeople are so used to hearing numbers and marketing people aren't as much, that you should talk the same way. If you want people to care about revenue, you should talk about revenue.
Yeah, I love that. And yeah, I think it works both ways, right? Celebrating the wins and also using it as a kind of a mirror to be like, okay, you made this great thing. How many times is it being used? How many times has it been downloaded? Has it been referenced, right? And if not, right, you can be like, okay, well, maybe I need to improve that. Or maybe I need to go talk to the reps and be like, is this helpful? You know, like, do we need a new version of this? And they're like, oh, actually, I would love that. Yeah. And you can take that accountability, and then vice versa, right? Like, you're a seller and you're like, yeah, I'm dropping the ball. Marketing's making all these great resources and I'm not using any of them. Right. And I maybe I'm not hitting my number. It's like, am I leaving good, goods on the table, right? Ammunition on the table because I was just too complacent.
Well, it's to your point, Scott, it's why I love the one band, one sound reference, is that we win together at the highest levels. Now let's break it down individually, right? We won as a team and this thing wasn't at its best. Imagine if it was, right? You didn't hit that minimum number this month. Imagine if you did, right? We won as a company, but you lost in this one specific way as an individual. Still won as a company though, right? So we're going to course correct. We're going to do what we need to do. But next time when you do hit that minimum or go above and beyond, we're going to break records as a company. And I think once you get that mentality that you can still high five each other and be excited for each other, even though you didn't perform your very best that month, but guess what? I got you next month. I think that mentality, you know, is what makes us succeed at ours.
It's so easy to be like, well, I brought in the deal, and so that's all that matters, right? It's in sales world, right? It's like, yeah, but you forgot to look down and notice that like somebody else opened the door, somebody else took their coat, somebody else gave a glass of water, and somebody else helped make the experience that they walked in. They're like, this is amazing, right?
Somebody else built the house, you just showed up.
Yeah, right? Yeah, exactly.
Like, I mean,
And that's fine. You don't have to notate the house, but you walk into the house and hanging the code and taking the things, all of those little steps made that sales process that much better. But that's because marketing had their hand in that. So that cross functionality that we spoke about so often in this episode is so important to a successful revenue team.
Number 3, activity doesn't close. Intent does. The best salespeople focus where it matters.
A lot of outbound motions are very high caliber efforts. Make 300 dials a day, 400 dials a day, and that's how you'll get to success. But to me, that is contradictory to what I brought up in the beginning, which is your initial effort makes everything else either easier or harder. So when you take a slower, more methodical approach, intentional outreach, instead of 150 dials, it's 50 dials with the right person, the right contact, the right framing and messaging, you will be more successful in that because you're able to stress test your conversation with the right person versus just, I don't know why this isn't working. I've called 300 people. That's a hard one to coach to or correct.
we hire a couple people, we have the playbook, we have the softwares, we get the right few hires to kind of set the stage. Our CEO, when we first started this, he asked for 3 sales for $300,000 in the first year. Okay. Cole and I both told him that if that's all we brought in, then you probably need to fire us because that would be abysmal. But at the end of the day, they had never had a sale of any magnitude, so that anything would have been a success at that point. But that's what was put on our heads to bring in. Got the right people, started getting some sets, got a sale pretty early on, I think in the first month, if I'm not mistaken. Enter Scott, right? Scott comes in as well for sales enablement. I think Scott even started a little bit before we got our kind of our team really ramped up. And I cannot tell you how important a sales enablement motion is to your team, because that is who is going to control those softwares, who is going to be able to test them, who is going to fix those bumps in the road. Who I've told, I'm in a couple small masterminds, and I've told people like what should your first hires be? I was like, I would almost hire a sales enablement person before I would make my first like BDR hire, or it's like I would build that team around it. If at all possible, you could do it, just because it helps facilitate so much. They can, you know, wear multiple hats if you need them to, and coach as well. There's so many things down that line. So once we had Scott in and he could list build and we could start going after the right people, to kind of fast forward through this a little bit so we can kind of put some color on why we're so hell bent on building this way, is that first year we wanted, or our CEO wanted 3 sales for $300,000. We ended up doing 32 sales for $4 million.
Yeah, I think that goes back to the intentionality piece. You know, the example you just said of making a dial and they answer and you're caught off guard. You're just dialing at that point, right? You're not being intentional. You're not reaching out to this person with your goal or prepared. If you're surprised that they answer the phone, you were literally just clicking call, you know? So every action should be an intentional action, but that's the winning side of things, right? If you're just going through the motions, the unfortunate side is that's a losing behavior, right?
Number 2, outsource less, own more. Growth you don't control is a gamble.
When I got hired in October 2023, Chris, our CEO, obviously, you know, was looking to grow faster. He was hiring a VP of sales at that time, and that's what I got hired as. And I came from an outbound background, cold calling. And whenever I was going through the process, I knew obviously Cole was doing leading outbound efforts for another company, and I thought he would be a great addition to what we were doing. And Chris had told me that they were spending a little shy of $40,000 a month on an outbound team that was third party. We have third party partners that I think make a ton of sense, but predominantly, especially when it comes to a business development team, outbound team, I would probably 99% of the time say own it in-house. And that's what I pitched that I wanted to do and build. We came in, Cole alluded to a little bit earlier, to just tell you how bad that company was that we were using. They had a 7% show rate. And in like 8 months, didn't have one sale. Like, I mean, it was an abysmal number. Fortunately, to Cole's point earlier, we started kind of combing through everything, found those unethical sets that were done, and fortunately got us out of that contract way sooner than expected, which then allowed us the money to go start building out. I think the foundational side of it was, number one, we were going to do this in-house. That is the best way to figure out if this is going to be successful or not. When you have people that are bought into you, your company, what we're doing, you get to own those things. You get to test the data. Whenever you hire a third party from an outbound standpoint, they have one thing to do, and that's hit a goal, right? That's how they get their money. So ended up hiring Cole, got out of that contract, and we kind of just went down the line. And Cole, I'll let you kind of go from when you come in.
Yeah. So the first thing, and we alluded to this at the beginning, was understanding where our value was from an outbound side. How do we bring value to the conversation from our firm to theirs, and make a conversation worthwhile? And that starts by crafting a value offer to add to them. What we offer is a comprehensive overview that some firms charge thousands of dollars, and that is their business model to do. And we offer that complimentary, truly no holds bar conversationally. Come look at your business with an unbiased approach to what you look like online, and tried to make that a no-brainer conversation.
Just to recap, so step one was Zach's approach, which is like, decide to do it right, which is like, hey, we want to own this, we want control over this, we're going to do it in-house. Step two, it's like, okay, we're doing this in-house, Cole's brought in. We can't have a successful motion if we don't have a good play, right?
Correct. You have to establish the playbook first. How are we going to do this before you even have a person?
Yeah. If our BDRs, if your outbound team is just saying like, hey, have you ever heard of us? Would you like to hear about us? It's like, no, I'm not really interested in that. Right. Like, so having something meaningful, it's like, hey, we want to, this thing that would cost us time and resources, we want to give that to you for free in exchange for hearing about us. How does that sound? Or obviously I'm simplifying.
Yep. And then I would say, after you develop the playbook, you get the right softwares. Right. So we were on Pipedrive originally. We switched to HubSpot because we need to be able to track our data. Pipedrive can obviously do what you probably need to do. And then you can add some add-ons if you're going from like your finances aren't where you need to be for HubSpot. But for us, we knew we were quickly going to grow into HubSpot. So we just went ahead and bit that bullet in the beginning when we were probably a little too small to have it. But I think we can all probably admit we're thrilled that we did that when we did, because it'd be a tough switch at this point. But I think, Scott, you got the first few, getting to a playbook, building out the software, and then looking for the hire. Yeah,
you got to have next is the right people in seat. And the people that we've been so fortunate to have, and it truly does carry the thrust of success, is the people who are executing on that.
Always remember why you were hired in business development. Was I hired to be an aggressive marketer? Am I hired to be an AI that's generic? No. Like, you were hired for your personality, your conversation, your creativity. That should be manifest in the work that you do. If it's not, like, you're not doing your job right.
And finally, number one, failure is the fee for winning. Every great leader has failed. What you do with the failure makes all the difference.
I love this sentiment, which is, it's all right to fail, right? But you just have to make a quick decision on how to get better. So it's quick decisions like that lead to the best success. And I think that's a great piece about scaling is, don't be afraid to fail. You just have to be just as quick when you realize that failure to make a pivot decision.
Are we going to have failures? 100% we want them. That's how we know that we're pushing the boundaries. But we are lucky because we've practiced enough to get there.
If you're just chasing the wins, right, you end up hitting your glass ceiling, right? But you fail
all of a sudden you pull back and you contort and you stretched yourself. And then after that failure, you smash through.
And this is where the standard matters, holding people accountable. Because if you're going to make fast decisions, then you need to have a standard in place to, unfortunately, move people out of the business if they are not the right fit. The second you move fast and standards are wavy and somebody gets to, come in and now, I don't really know what I'm held to, this, like your next thing you know, you're 6 months in and you're like, man, that was the wrong hire. It should never take that long, right? They should know what the standard is from day one, be held accountable to it. Is it the right hire or is it not? Find out quickly.
That's 5 lessons, all earned the hard way. If you're building a team, leading one, or just trying to get better, take what works, apply it, and drop us a follow. This is Under Oath. Revenue Takes the Stand, powered by Rankings.io, the elite legal marketing agency for personal injury firms on the rise to the top. We'll see you next time.